The palace of the Velmer Empire stretched across 3 kilometers of crystalline architecture, each tower reaching toward the violet sky of Velmara Prime. Inside the throne room, Queen Talira sat upon her ancestral seat, her 4 arms folded in contemplation as her advisors debated trade agreements with the Outer Rim colonies. The queen's iridescent skin shifted from deep blue to pale silver as her mood changed with the conversation. A trait common to her species. At the entrance to the throne room stood Marcus Webb, one of only 12 human guards employed by the Velmer royal household. He had served for 3 years now, ever since humanity had joined the Galactic Assembly. The position was considered an honor, though many of his fellow humans back on Earth questioned why he would want to protect alien royalty light years from home. Marcus understood something most humans did not. The Velmer had been the first species to vote in favor of humanity's admission to the Assembly. Without their support, Earth would still be waiting at the doorstep of galactic civilization. Queen Talira herself had given an impassioned speech about the potential she saw in humanity, about their capacity for both fierce loyalty and creative problem-solving. Now Marcus stood at his post, his eyes constantly scanning the room. The other guards, all native Velmer, towered over him by nearly a meter. Their natural armor plating made them formidable, but Marcus had something they lacked: human pattern recognition, honed by millions of years of evolution on a dangerous world, gave him an edge in spotting threats. The morning proceeded without incident until the delegation from the mining colonies arrived. 6 Velmer officials entered, their formal robes bearing the sigils of the outer territories. They approached the throne with the proper protocols, bowing deeply before presenting their petition. Marcus watched them carefully, noting details his training had taught him to observe. The lead delegate's lower left arm trembled slightly. The second delegate kept glancing at the guards rather than at the queen. The third had a bulge beneath his robes that seemed inconsistent with formal attire. Small details easily missed, but together they formed a pattern. Marcus felt his heart rate increase. He had 2 options. He could report his concerns through proper channels, which would take several minutes to process through the chain of command. Or he could act immediately and risk being wrong, potentially causing a diplomatic incident that could damage human-Velmer relations. The delegation began their presentation. They spoke of mining quotas and resource allocation, their voices steady and professional. But Marcus saw the second delegate's hand move slowly toward his robes. The movement was smooth, practiced, intended to go unnoticed. Training took over. Marcus stepped forward, breaking protocol. His voice rang out across the throne room. "Your Majesty, step back from the throne." The room froze. Every eye turned toward the human guard who had dared to interrupt a formal audience. The Velmer guard shifted, uncertain whether to restrain Marcus or follow his lead. Queen Talira's skin flashed red, a sign of surprise and displeasure. "Guard Webb, you will explain this interruption," the Queen said, her voice cold. Marcus never took his eyes off the delegation. The second delegate has a weapon. Third delegate is wearing an explosive device beneath his robes. First delegate is exhibiting signs of extreme stress despite routine proceedings. The throne room erupted in chaos. The accused delegates protested their innocence. The royal guards moved to surround the Queen. The chief of security began shouting orders. Then the second delegate made his move. His hand emerged from his robes, holding a plasma disruptor, its barrel aimed directly at Queen Talira. He might have succeeded if Marcus had not already been moving. The human guard crossed the distance in 3 long strides, his shoulder connecting with the would-be assassin's midsection before the trigger could be pulled. The weapon discharged into the ceiling, sending a shower of crystalline fragments across the room. Marcus rolled, coming up with the disruptor now in his hands. The third delegate reached for his robes. But two Velmer guards tackled him before he could activate whatever device he carried. The remaining delegates scattered. Royal guards swarmed the area, securing the throne room in seconds. The chief of security's team moved with efficient precision, restraining all 6 delegates regardless of their protests. Marcus remained in a defensive position, the captured weapon trained on the detained suspects, until the Queen was safely evacuated to her secure chambers. 2 hours later, Marcus stood in a private meeting room, waiting to learn his fate. Breaking protocol was a serious offense. That his actions had been justified would matter little if the political fallout damaged relations between species. He had potentially embarrassed the Velmer security forces by suggesting they had missed an obvious threat. The door opened. Queen Talira entered, accompanied by her chief of security and the human ambassador to Velmara. Marcus snapped to attention. The Queen's skin rippled through several colors before settling on a warm golden hue. She studied the human guard in silence for a long moment. "The explosives expert has examined the device," she said finally. "It contained enough compressed antimatter to destroy this entire wing of the palace. Over 300 lives would have been lost." Marcus said nothing. There was nothing to say. "My security chief informs me that his guards did perform standard scanning procedures. The delegates passed every test. The weapons and explosives were shielded using technology we have never encountered before." Queen Talira took a step closer. "How did you know?" "I did not know, Your Majesty," Marcus replied honestly. "I suspected. On Earth, humans evolved as both predators and prey. We learned to recognize patterns, to spot tiny inconsistencies that might indicate danger. The delegates were too nervous for a routine meeting. Their body language was wrong. It was just a feeling, but my training taught me to trust those feelings." The chief of security spoke up, his voice gruff. The human guard acted outside his authority. However, his actions undoubtedly saved Her Majesty's life. The dilemma is how to proceed. Ambassador Wright stepped forward. "Your Majesty, Guard Webb represents the best of what humanity offers to the Galactic Assembly. Our instincts, our pattern recognition, our willingness to act decisively when lives are at stake. We hope this incident demonstrates the value of human participation in galactic affairs." Queen Talira's skin shifted to deep purple, a color Marcus had learned indicated serious contemplation. "There is no dilemma," she said. "Guard Webb will be promoted to the Queen's personal protection detail. Furthermore, I am requesting that the Assembly fast-track the integration of human security personnel across all member worlds. If one human's instincts can detect what our most advanced technology cannot, then we need more humans watching over us." Marcus felt the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. This was larger than one assassination attempt, larger than one guard's split-second decision. Humanity had just proven its worth to the galaxy in a way that no diplomatic speech or trade agreement ever could. "Your Majesty," he said carefully, "I am honored. But I should note that not all humans possess the same level of threat assessment ability. Proper training and selection will be essential." The Queen's laugh was musical, a sound like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. "Of course. We Velmer are not all equally skilled warriors either. But you humans have something special, Guard Webb. You have survived on a world that tried very hard to eliminate you. That survival instinct, that paranoid vigilance you call situational awareness, is precisely what we need." Over the following weeks, the investigation into the assassination attempt unfolded. The delegates had been radicalized by an extremist faction that opposed Velmara's openness to new species joining the Assembly. They had specifically targeted Queen Talira because of her support for humanity's admission. The irony was not lost on anyone that a human guard had foiled their plot. Marcus trained the new human security recruits who began arriving from Earth. He taught them what he had learned during his years on Velmara, but more importantly, he taught them to trust their instincts. The galaxy was full of advanced technology and sophisticated beings. But sometimes the most valuable asset was a human's ability to sense when something was not quite right. The story of the human guard who saved the alien queen spread throughout the assembly. Humanity's reputation shifted. They were no longer seen as the naive newcomers, the primitive species lucky to be admitted to galactic civilization. They became known as the Watchful ones, the species whose evolutionary history had given them a unique and valuable perspective on security and threat assessment. Years later, when Marcus finally retired from royal service, Queen Talira hosted a ceremony in his honor. Representatives from dozens of worlds attended, many of them now employing human security personnel of their own. The queen presented Marcus with the Star of Velmara, the highest honor her world could bestow on a non-native. "You warned me when no one else could," she said, her skin glowing bright gold with genuine affection. "You trusted yourself when doubt would have been easier. You saved not just my life, but the future of cooperation between our peoples. Humanity has a place among the stars, Guard Web, and you helped secure it." Marcus accepted the honor with characteristic humility. But as he looked out at the assembled dignitaries, at the humans now,